No one working full-time should face homelessness. But that's what my family is facing now. Americans are leaving their country in record numbers. And this time, it's not for vacation. They are packing bags, booking flights, and leaving for good. Over 9 million Americans have left the United States. If they formed a new state, it would be the 12th largest. A state without borders, without Congress, without CNN. All with one thing in common: they no longer believe in America. When freedom needs permission, people start losing hope. When pensions can't buy medicine, people feel trapped. When division becomes the new language, people stop trusting each other. Many Americans now think staying might be the biggest risk. Some moved to Mexico to live cheaper. Others went to Portugal to live longer. And some chose Japan to feel safer. This is not just a story about migration. It's a story about a country in transition. People are now voting with their feet. Stay with me, because we'll look at the real reasons. The reasons behind the biggest walkout in American history. And maybe one day, it could be your future too. There's a joke in Midwestern bars. There are two certainties in life: death and taxes. But at least death only happens once. That joke is becoming real for many Americans. Because more people are trying to escape the US tax system. In 2023, over 5,300 Americans gave up their citizenship. That's the third highest number ever recorded. Tens of thousands more still keep a US passport. But they live abroad where taxes are lower and life feels fairer. In cities like Mexico City, Panama, or Lisbon, taxes are much lower. And the cost of living is about 60 to 70% cheaper. Let's make it simple. If you earn $100,000 a year in Texas, you save about $50,000. But if you move to Lisbon and work remotely, you could save $70,000. That $20,000 difference can pay for your child's university. Or let your parents live comfortably for a whole year. Why did they leave? Because the United States taxes its citizens even when they live abroad. You could live in Thailand for 20 years and never use US roads. But the IRS will still want your money. Many other countries don't tax citizens who live overseas. But the US does, as if you owe them for being born there. Add to that the rising cost of living and inflation. Everything is getting more expensive: food, rent, and medicine. So people decide to move somewhere else. It's not just the super rich leaving anymore. Now it's retired teachers, engineers, and former soldiers. Ordinary people who worked hard for decades. As inflation eats into pensions and savings, they move abroad to live decently. A former Boeing engineer now lives in Lisbon. He works remotely for his old company and keeps 70% of his income. He said, "I didn't leave America. I just left a tax bill that made no sense." Ironically, Americans once left Europe to escape royal taxes. Now their descendants are leaving America for the same reason. If a tax system makes people change their nationality, something is wrong. If you could earn $20,000 more each year by living elsewhere, would you go? But money isn't the only reason people are leaving. Some are leaving for something even more valuable: freedom. Money is important, but freedom is priceless. When people felt their freedom fading, they started looking for it elsewhere. Nearly 1 in 10 Americans abroad say they left for social or political reasons. After the 2020 election, searches for "how to move abroad" rose by 300%. People didn't leave because they were oppressed. They left because they felt freedom was disappearing. America was built on freedom from government control. But now that freedom feels smaller every year. More rules about taxes, health, speech, and even parenting. Politics has become so divisive that even opinions cause trouble. And while America exports democracy abroad, its own citizens are exporting themselves. Some move to Canada for healthcare they can afford. Others move to Costa Rica to live freely off-grid. Some choose Uruguay for safety and self-defense rights. These aren't rebels. They are normal people who once trusted the system. Now they are opening bank accounts in other countries. A former Navy sailor moved to Uruguay. He said, "I don't need to explain why I want to protect my home. I just need to live." We used to sing, "Land of the Free," at football games. But now, for many, true freedom begins with a one-way ticket. Money isn't everything. But when every morning feels like working just to pay bills, it matters a lot. That's how a new idea began called geo-arbitrage. It means earning US dollars but spending in cheaper countries. This idea is reshaping the map. In the past 5 years, Americans in Mexico City have doubled. In Lisbon, the number grew by 45% in 3 years. Over 60 countries now offer digital nomad visas. These visas let people live abroad and work remotely for US companies. It all comes from one simple truth. The American middle-class dream is breaking down. It still exists, but it's too expensive to keep alive. Inflation reached 8%. House prices jumped 40% in a few years. A dinner in a US city can cost more than a flight to Europe. An engineer in Texas earning $6,000 a month keeps only $2,000 after expenses. The same engineer in Lisbon rents for $800, eats for $10, and saves $3,500. There's no magic, just geography. And geography is easier to change than politics. Young workers now know they can earn American money abroad. Retirees see their pensions stretch twice as far overseas. Freelancers and entrepreneurs see moving abroad as upgrading their life. A 62-year-old woman from Phoenix lived on a $2,000 pension. In America, that was barely enough to survive. Now in Mérida, Mexico, she rents a house for $500 and lives well. She said, "In America, I live just enough. Here, I live comfortably." America used to be the place people came to get rich. Now, Americans are leaving to protect the value of their money. And when an American can live like a king abroad, the question is no longer why they left but why they stayed so long. If you could live a better and more comfortable life with the same amount of money, would you do it? Or would you keep spending thousands every month just to stay in the same neighborhood you know? This is not only about a few smart people making choices. When skilled young Americans leave, the country faces a serious problem called brain drain. It's happening slowly and quietly. And not many people are talking about it. Politicians often say we must tighten our borders so no one can get in. But few talk about the other problem, the people who are getting out. While America argues about illegal immigration, many educated and skilled Americans are leaving for good. Out of 9 million Americans living abroad, more than half have a college degree or higher education. Since 2020, the number of engineers, doctors, and teachers moving abroad has increased by 40%. Countries like Germany, Canada, and Singapore are now welcoming American talent with open arms. They offer lower taxes, better research support, and easier visa rules than America does. Imagine a 32-year-old AI engineer in California. He earns $80,000 a year and pays 40% in taxes. He spends about $3,500 each month on rent alone. Then he gets a job offer from Berlin with lower taxes and housing for $1,200. Now the question is not should I go? It becomes why am I still staying here? America was once the dream place for talented people from around the world. Now other countries are competing to attract Americans instead. Even US companies are rehiring their old workers who now live abroad. But they must pay them more because they left for better lives. European and Asian universities now have more American teachers than ever before. Even new tech companies in Europe are led by people from Silicon Valley. One AI expert said in the US I had to fight for every dollar. In Germany they support me and tell me to be creative. Now his invention is used in more than 40 countries around the world. And his old American company pays him money to use his idea. America once attracted the smartest minds on earth. Now those same minds are leaving and not coming back. If a country can't keep its best people, how long can it stay a world leader? If people must leave just to do their jobs, is the problem with them or with the system? But the truth goes deeper than money or freedom. Many Americans are leaving because they no longer feel at home. About 72% of Americans living abroad say they will not return. More than half say they feel happier and freer in other countries. Most still love America deeply. But they feel that America doesn't love them back anymore. This is not only about money or politics. It's about who they are and how they feel inside. When people leave for money, they might come back one day. When they leave for freedom, they might return when things improve. But when they leave because they don't belong anymore, they almost never return home again. The American dream once meant that if you worked hard you could live free. You could have a home, respect, and a good future for your family. But now many people feel that dream has faded away. It feels like an old advertisement that no one believes anymore. This change has serious consequences for the whole country. America is getting older, losing creativity, and losing public trust. When people who once believed in the system leave, America loses not just population but hope and faith. The real question now is not how many are leaving. It's how many still want to stay. One former Navy officer explained it in simple words. After 20 years of service, he moved to Vietnam to live peacefully. He said, "I still love America. It's just that America doesn't love me like before." He found respect and peace in another country. Things he no longer felt in his own homeland. We used to believe the American dream was for the whole world to chase. Now Americans are chasing that dream in other countries. If people born in America no longer want to stay, can we still call it the land of opportunity? By the year 2040, if this trend continues, there could be 20 million Americans living abroad. That's more people than the entire state of Florida. It would be like creating a 51st state around the world. Imagine that for a moment. 20 million Americans living outside the US, with no borders and no government, but all once called America home. Each year around 300,000 to 400,000 Americans move abroad. If this continues, the number will reach 20 million very soon. That's a huge loss of talent, people, and tax money for the country. If those 20 million paid $10,000 each in taxes, that's $200 billion gone every year. But the loss isn't only about money. It's about losing creativity, ideas, and national identity. These Americans now live in Mexico, Portugal, Thailand, or Japan. They speak English, watch Netflix, and eat burgers, but pay taxes elsewhere. The strange part is that this global American community might represent America more than the country itself. At that point, the phrase "made in America" might not mean products anymore but people. American teachers in Vietnam, entrepreneurs in Berlin, and designers in Paris, everywhere except home. The sad question is what will be left to call America if its smartest and bravest people keep leaving? Maybe the American dream no longer lives inside the US, maybe it has become a global dream shared by everyone. It once started with a small house and a white fence. Now it begins with a one-way ticket to another land. The American dream hasn't died at all. It has simply moved to a new address far away. What we see today is not just people moving abroad. It's hope, ambition, and meaning leaving with them. America is still a great country. But greatness needs to be renewed, challenged, and rebuilt again. When millions leave, it's not a betrayal of their homeland. It's a question to the nation asking if it still keeps its promise. Now it's your turn to think and decide. If you could live freely and comfortably somewhere else, would you stay? Is the American dream still alive today? Or has it already started its journey around the world? Tell us what you think in the comments below. If this video made you think, please like and subscribe for more. We'll keep sharing real stories about why so many people are leaving America.